Welcome. My name is Tom Smila. I am the Recruiting and Employee Experience Coordinator here at U of M Flint. Today we're going to introduce the competency model for your position as a team contributor. These competencies will be used for performance reviews, for training, recruitment, job descriptions, goal setting, and other developmental activities. So let's define what is a competency first of all. A job competency is a measurable characteristic or set of behaviors or personal attributes that are really essential for successful performance in a specific job or role. These competencies go beyond the technical skills and include qualities such as communication, teamwork, problem solving, and adaptability that enable an employee to perform their duties effectively. So in essence, these competencies are really based on soft skills. So what is a soft skill? Soft skills are a set of personal attributes and interpersonal abilities that enable individuals to interact effectively and harmoniously with others. Unlike technical or what we call hard skills, which are specific to a particular job or task, soft skills are more related to how we work and how we communicate. They are sometimes called people skills or employability skills, but simply put, it's how we do our jobs. And that people that are successful in their jobs display a strong set of these competencies. Quite frankly, it's the how we do our job that makes the most impact in how successful we are. There's so much research out there that shows that people that are successful in their jobs display these strong competencies. Another simple way to look at it is that the hard skills are the technical skills, like we mentioned, and the soft skills are the non-technical skills. So, once again, a job competency is how we need to do our job in order to be effective in our roles. So, two of the key aspects of job competencies. First, they're observable and they're measurable. Competencies can be demonstrated and assessed through behavior, actions, or even outcomes. And as I mentioned earlier, these competencies are going to be used, especially in the performance evaluations for this year, job descriptions, recruitment, training, and career development. And we've developed two sets of competencies here at U of M Flint. One is for a people manager and one is for a team contributor. This presentation focuses on the team contributor competency model. So let's take a brief overview of both of these models, and then we'll dive into the specifics of the team contributor competencies. So this is kind of an overview of both of them. And let's read through them real quick. People manager are managers and supervisors who are responsible for identifying hiring needs, candidate interview and selection, performance evaluations, and merit planning for one or more U of M Flint regular or non-temporary employees. The people manager's focus and action will include developing positive relationships with team members, providing and receiving feedback, developing team members, as well as rewarding and recognizing contributions. Now, team contributor, which was what we're about today, is an individual who does not have direct accountability for making final hiring decisions or conducting performance evaluations or making merit recommendations. This individual may have indirect responsibility for oversight of others' work, to include training and coaching, as well as setting an example for how work gets done. This person may also provide feedback to others outside of the formal performance evaluation process. So you've really got the two sets of competencies, and these are really the two roles that are defined throughout the university. In other words, you're either a team contributor or you're a people manager. And of course, the people manager supervises people as we see, and the team contributor is the individual contributor that does not have direct reports. And this is the group we're going to focus on in this presentation. So let's look at, first of all, before we get into that, we'll look at some surveys or research that was done here at the University of Michigan, Flint. And we'll go to the next slide. So really, where are we at today with our culture at U of M Flint? I think this list here kind of provides the ideal version of ourselves. This is really the ideal culture we'd like to reach for and have as our goal by displaying these attributes. And really, it concerns these competencies we're going to talk about today and how we can be successful and can help spread this culture to others in the university. So, and this is based on some surveys and interviews that have been done within the previous couple of months. So, basically the bullet points are, we want to be obviously student focused. That's our number one customer. Customer service is critical. We really want to have collaborative relationships here. We want to have a passion for this university and be connected with people here and be involved in the community at events and things like that. And we also want to be proud of being a part of the Genesee County community as well as the Flint community and be very welcoming to new people and connected to each other. So that's kind of where we're at, where we want to be. Let's now dive into the actual competencies we're going to look at today. Now, this is kind of an overview of the 9 competencies we're going to look at. 8 of them are in the circles, and the ninth one is in the middle. Once again, these are going to be used for job descriptions, performance evaluation, hiring, training, things like that. So these are the basic qualities needed to be successful in the job. Once again, the soft skills, the behaviors. And when we look at that middle competency, really being the common denominator called making a difference. Why is that in the middle? Because making a difference is the critical component in all of the competencies that surround it. For example, you make a difference when you're trustworthy, and we'll go through the middle competency later on. So let's start by defining each one of the competencies individually. And we'll go to the next slide. The first one is being trustworthy. So let's read it real quickly. Meet or exceed the commitments that you make. Be open, honest, and proactive in sharing information that you hold. Share your knowledge, help others to grow. Listen to others' ideas and leverage their expertise. Admit when you are wrong or make an error. Seek opportunities, collaborate, and share credit when others contributed to success, and be authentic. So we'll give just some scenarios, just some sample scenarios. I'm only going to give you 3 examples of this one, but these examples are not all inclusive. There obviously are many more, but let's look at a scenario where we have an employee that is a research lab technician. They're responsible for maintaining lab equipment and accurately recording experiment results for their research group. So how does this employee demonstrate trustworthiness? First of all, honesty in reporting. This employee always reports their experimental findings accurately, even if the results are unexpected or show mistakes. For example, when they notice an anomaly in their data, they bring it to their supervisor's attention rather than trying to hide it or try to fix the numbers. Another one is follow through. When the employee commits to ordering new supplies by a certain date, they ensure the order is placed on time and confirms receipt of the items. Maybe a third example can be reliability. Team members know they can count on this employee to complete their assigned tasks. If they encounter a delay, they communicate proactively and provide a new timeline rather than making excuses. So, in summary, through their honesty, reliability, and clear communication, this employee consistently builds trust with their team and supervisors. This fosters a positive work environment and upholds the integrity of the research group. So let's look at our second competency. It's an engaging across the university. So communicate proactively with people inside your department and across the university. Develop good positive working relations. Actively listen to others. Participate in multiple activities that involve staff, faculty, and students. Leverage all the available tools and resources we have to enhance our communication especially in a hybrid work environment. Be a visible presence, seek opportunities to engage across the campus, have a passion for the U of M-Flint campus and the surrounding communities. So once again, I'm just going to give you three quick examples of it. Here's a scenario where this employee is an administrative assistant in the College of Health Sciences. While their primary role is to support faculty scheduling and event planning within their own department, this employee consistently seeks ways to engage with initiatives and communities across the wider university. How do they do this? How do they demonstrate engagement? First, cross-departmental collaboration. This employee volunteers to serve on a university-wide committee focused on sustainability, representing the interests of his department while collaborating with staff and faculty from other college. Secondly, event participation. They frequently attend public lectures, diversity workshops, and campus-wide forums beyond their job requirements, staying informed about broader university activities and bringing some fresh ideas to his own team. Here's another example, student outreach. This employee serves as a staff advisor for a university-recognized student organization, offering support and guidance to students from different schools within the University of Michigan-Flint. So in summary, by actively seeking opportunities to participate, in university-wide groups or events or initiatives, this employee is seen as being engaged, collaborative employee. Their efforts to connect, share, and volunteer across units contribute to a vibrant and interconnected campus community here at U of M, Flint. So our third competency is continuous learning. So let's look at the slide. Have a continuous learning mindset. Seek to learn by asking questions and actively listen. Stay current on initiatives within the university. Seek opportunities to grow in your current role and develop for future. And leverage the latest in technology to drive efficiency and share knowledge with the team members. So let's give just a couple examples about this. And here's a scenario. This employee is an administrative assistant in the Department of Nursing at U of M Flint. They noticed that the department is adopting a new scheduling software that will streamline management of faculty appointments and student meetings. So, example of demonstration of continuous learning. This employee proactively registers for a university-sponsored training workshop on the new software, even though their supervisor has not required it. Another example would be after completing the workshop, they explore additional online tutorials and joins a user group to share best practices and troubleshoot common issues. Then this employee volunteers to mentor their coworkers, creating maybe like a tip sheet and hosting a short lunch and learn session for the department. Then when the software receives an update, the employee reviews the release notes and attends a virtual Q&A to stay current on the new features of the software. They regularly request feedback on their knowledge, and they seek out further learning resources as needed. So what's the result? The result is this employee's ongoing commitment to learn and adapt not only improves their own job performance, but also strengthens the department's transition to the new system, serving as a model for continuous learning at U of M Flint. So let's look at our fourth competency, embracing and advancing change. That's identifying best practices in your own area of expertise and finding ways to translate these into action at the university. Learn about and support key change initiatives for the university. Contribute thoughts and ideas when input is sought. Ask questions. Take advantage of opportunities to support some key initiatives. And help educate coworkers on the need for change and the potential impacts positively. So, here's an example. This employee is a staff member in the University of Michigan Flint Career Services Department. Recently, the university announced a new advising management platform to improve student tracking and communication. While the transition required everyone to learn the new system, this employee distinguishes themselves by proactively embracing and advancing the change. So how does this employee demonstrate embracing and advancing change? Once again, these are only three examples, but one of them is being a positive mindset. Rather than reacting with skepticism or frustration, the employee expresses enthusiasm about the benefits the new system could bring to advisors and students alike. Secondly, early adoption. The employee is one of the first to sign up for these pilot training and is quick to start incorporating this new platform into daily advising work, even before it's required. Third, providing good constructive feedback. As the employee navigates this system, they document challenges, suggest solutions, and share this feedback with the project team to help refine the rollout for everyone. So really, in summary, through this early engagement, a solution-oriented attitude and constructive feedback and a commitment to ongoing improvement throughout this process, the employee not only adapts to change, but actively helps to move positive change forward at U of M Flint. So that's the fourth competency. Let's go to our next slide and look at 5 through 8. The fifth competency is supporting others. And let's read it real quick. Developing strong relationships across the university, including across departments, share expertise, help others learn and be effective in their roles, encourage others, recognize their contribution, beware of any biases that may affect positive interactions, and understand how differences across all employees enrich our environment. So, here's a scenario. This employee is known across campus for their genuine commitment to student success. They actively listen to students' concerns, whether academic, personal, or career related, and responds with empathy and resourceful solutions. When a student expressed anxiety about balancing coursework and a part-time job, they not only helped redesign their academic schedule, but also connected them with the UM-Flint's counseling and psychological service and career services for further guidance. So what are some of the actions that demonstrated this support? Attends faculty and staff workshops focused on inclusive advising. So this person can better assist students from diverse background. Volunteers as a staff sponsor for student organizations supporting first generation and underrepresented students. Frequently checks in with students after particularly challenging events, offering encouragement and referrals to appropriate campus resources. And they collaborate with faculty, create early alert systems for students struggling academically, ensuring some real timely intervention. And they publicly recognize colleagues' contributions during meetings, fostering a positive and collaborative workplace environment. And really, the impact is thanks to the employees' supportive approach. Students feel empowered, they feel more connected, and they know they have somebody to go to, really an advocate who goes beyond the academic guidance piece to ensure their, complete success at U of M Flint. So let's look at our sixth competency, sharing knowledge. Contributing personal expertise in daily activities, team conversations, meetings, projects with coworkers, etc. They identify opportunities to help others be more effective, be open to thoughts and ideas from others, both within the department and across the university, and keep current on the latest technology, how it will help the job. So on sharing knowledge, let's look at a scenario. This employee is an IT support specialist in the Information Technology Services Department. The employee's work involves resolving technology issues for faculty and staff, as well as developing expertise in new digital tools brought to the campus. So how does this employee demonstrate an ability to share knowledge? Here's three examples. First, creating how-to guides. Maybe after troubleshooting a recurring software issue, the employee writes up a clear step-by-step guide and posts it on the ITS internal knowledge base, making it accessible for colleagues. Secondly, maybe is leading informal training sessions. The employee regularly offers informal lunch and learn sessions for team members, introducing practical tips on using this new software, maybe sharing lessons learned, and answering live questions. Third, mentoring peers. When a newer team member struggles to troubleshoot a complex system, the employee walks them through the underlying principles rather than just providing the solution, ensure that they have a deeper understanding. So really, in summary, by creating these helpful resources and leading training and mentoring peers and things like that, this employee ensures valuable knowledge is shared widely. This both empowers colleagues and increases the department's overall effectiveness. So let's look at our seventh competency, recognizing the contribution of others. Identify key contributions from others within the university that's observable as part of their regular work activities. Share achievements made by others to key stakeholders. Take a moment to communicate with a person following an important contribution. Communication in this case can take many forms: an informal conversation, an email, note to their supervisor, etc. So let's take a look at a scenario. During a team meeting at U of M Flint, an academic advisor takes a few minutes to acknowledge their colleague for their recent work in organizing a student success workshop. The employee says, quote, "Before we get started, I want to recognize you for coordinating last week's workshop on study strategies. The positive feedback we've received from students has been overwhelming, and it's clear your dedication made a real difference. Thank you for going the extra mile and for always putting our students first. Your efforts have helped our whole team shine." So this example really illustrates, a U of M Flint publicly appreciating a coworker's contribution. This, continues to foster a positive and collaborative work environment. So let's look at our eighth competency, being open to feedback. It's having a positive mindset when receiving constructive feedback from a manager's manager, coworkers, and or others. Feedback can identify activities and behaviors that have been successful as well as areas for improvement. Identify ways to leverage the feedback to improve personal performance, seeks to continuously learn, grow, and improve, and remains open to ideas from others. So let's look at a scenario. This employee is a web content writer in the marketing communications department. They regularly draft articles and update web pages for the department, but does not manage any other staff. So how does this employee demonstrate being open to feedback? We'll get three examples. First, a receptive attitude. When this employee submits a first draft to his supervisor and receives some suggestions for reorganizing sections and sharpening the messaging, they listen attentively rather than taking the feedback personally and ask clarifying questions to fully understand the guidance. Secondly, they act on feedback. After reviewing the comments, this employee revises his draft to incorporate the recommendations and then resubmits it, highlighting in their response the areas where they apply the specific feedback. Third, seek input. Recognizes that his coworkers have strengths in visual storytelling. This employee asks if anyone would like to review the new article layout before it goes live, welcoming any additional perspectives. It's always good to have different perspectives. So in summary, this employee displays openness to feedback by seeking out, listening to, and acting on suggestions, as well as expressing gratitude for the opportunity to improve. Their approach not only enhances their own work, but also strengthens trust and collaboration within the team. So let's take a look at our ninth and final competency, making a difference. This is really the common denominator for all the competencies. In other words, the key to all the competencies of the team contributor is making a difference. So let's read the slide. Be open to learning and growing throughout your career through performance and current role, achieves daily tasks and key initiatives in a way that leaves a positive and lasting impact within the university. This can be accomplished in many ways. Some examples would include improving an existing process, leveraging technology, taking an active role in a key initiative, and helping others to be successful, and having a passion. So let's look at just a few of the competencies that we've already talked about in terms and giving an example of how making a difference is so critical. And we've only got four examples, even though we looked at those 8 circles that were surrounding that. But let's take a look at one called Be Trustworthy. So here's the scenario. A research administrator is responsible for managing grant budgets. They always report expenses and project status with full transparency. They never omit any details, and they promptly correct any mistakes found in financial reports. Their reliability earns their colleagues' confidence, ensuring that the research group operates with integrity and accountability. That is truly making a difference. Let's take a look at another one of the competencies, engaging across the university. Here's a scenario. An admissions coordinator actively participates in university-wide outreach events, collaborates on interdepartmental committees, and volunteers, for orientation programs spanning departments. Their cross-campus engagement builds bridges, helping the university operate as a more cohesive and informed community. In other words, they make a difference. Let's look at a third one, recognizing the contribution of others. Here's a scenario. A research project coordinator makes it a point to publicly thank teammates for their specific contributions during meetings and in group emails. They also regularly nominate deserving colleagues for campus awards, ensuring people's efforts and achievements are valued and celebrated. They truly make a difference. And our fourth one is being open to feedback. Here's a scenario. A graphic designer in the communications office actively requests critiques on their work and views feedback as a chance to improve. They demonstrate changes suggested by colleagues and expresses appreciation for input, strengthening the team trust and consistently enhancing the department's creative output. They definitely make a difference. So there you can kind of see how that middle competency affects several, if not all, of the other competencies. So this is the conclusion of the recorded training. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen to this. To get access to the actual annual performance review form, use the same link that you used to get this recording from the HR newsletter. If you have any further questions about this topic, you can place an order on the TDX ticket system using the HR client portal. Thank you very much and have a great day.